Hi everyone, and welcome back to our victory garden. My name is Karen and I'm so excited to be with you on this beautiful day. We're at the end of September, September 28th to be exact, and it's the end of the harvest season. So congratulations on a garden well kept, lessons learned, and hopefully for a beautiful and fruitful harvest. It's hard to believe that we're nearly 6 months from when we first started our victory gardens. For me this year, the garden has brought me a renewed connection with nature and a new renewed purpose of really enjoying outside and identifying and observing what's happening in our own yards. So with improving the spaces that we're in and giving it more care, perhaps you've enjoyed those same benefits. So I'm standing in front of our square foot garden that we planted at the end of April, and we're still harvesting. It's just fantastic. We're still harvesting tomatoes. I actually just pulled these carrots. It's time to get those out of the ground. In my own garden, I'm harvesting onions, potatoes, corn, apples, and pear, and so it's still an exciting time in the garden. We've talked a little bit in the past about storing, canning, preserving your herbs and vegetables, and so you can certainly refer back to those victory garden posts. If you're using and preserving herbs, it's a great time to dry them. You can also preserve them in olive oil, in ice cube trays. That's actually one of my very favorite ways to do that, so it's ready to cook with. And you can certainly share your harvest with friends and family. Today we're going to talk a little bit about what to do next. So you should be picking every pepper and tomato and harvesting that last basket of goodies from your summer garden. And so now what, you might be asking? This is an appropriate time when the weather is very favorable. It's light and airy. Bright short days are great for cleaning out your end of season garden. And a lot of what you do now sets you up for success next spring, and it will continue to perform well for you just by doing a few simple steps. The first one is garden sanitation. It's important for prepping for the next growing season. So clean the garden of plant debris or decaying material. It could be tomatoes or cucumbers or squash that you just left on the ground perhaps. Make sure you dispose of those. Check for pests or disease. If there are any of those signs evident, throw them in a trash receptacle. Do not compost them. And what I'm going to be doing right after this is just finishing harvesting the rest of the tomatoes, the carrots, and the onions that we have in, and I'm going to be clearing out that debris and that vegetable matter. The next thing that you'll want to do is go ahead and chop up the stems and the leaves that you see of broccoli, Brussels sprouts, or cauliflower plants, or even tomato vines. All of these will decompose faster if they're chopped up into smaller pieces, and you can just do that by turning that soil over. Now, if you didn't have a square foot garden or a raised bed garden and you gardened in containers, now is a great time to empty and clean those pots. What you're going to want to do is the very same thing. Harvest the remaining fruit or edible leaves or vegetables, and remove tired or dying summer herbs or even annuals from those containers. Again, if those plants show no signs of disease, you can empty the containers soil into the compost pile, or you can put those into your garden beds. You can spread that out, spread that soil out with a rake, and just add to what you already have. With the containers themselves, you can scrub them out with a vinegar and water solution, and then store them upside down so they're ready for you to use again next spring. If you're not going to do that, now is still a really great time to fill them with fresh potting soil for cool season annuals such as Bachman's Grown Mums and other fall favorites, or you can hold them for spruce tops. I know it seems like a long time away, but they'll be here before you know it, around the very beginning of November. If by chance you planted vines or brambles or other perennial crops, such as raspberries, blackberries, or boysenberries, we don't have any in this Victory Garden. Now is a great time to thin those straggly vines and unwanted side shoots. So you can choose 4 to 6 of the healthiest, most vigorous canes on each of these vines to keep on each plant, cutting all others down to the ground. The next thing that you'll want to do is thin your strawberry beds by dividing the plants and replanting them in rich, well-drained soil where there's room for them to spread out. As asparagus and artichokes start to naturally die back at the end of the season, cut back those plants about 6 inches above the ground. Now, what I think is the most fun, beyond the harvest and storing and sharing with your friends and family, is planning for next year. So don't forget to take time to journal and to jot down what worked, what didn't work so well, and perhaps some things that you learned and observed in your own garden. Ask yourself what your favorite varieties or most successful plants were. Were there any plants that did not thrive or survive? And could your next edible garden benefit from more pollinator attracting plants? If so, you can certainly dream. That's what winter is for, is dreaming about those beautiful Minnesota gardens come spring. So put your garden to bed. Congratulations on a wonderful season of learning and trying something new. We will see you this winter, but we can't wait to see you again next spring and learn about your own successes and adventures in Victory Gardens.